Right, now I'm going to go through a little bit of some kit to take with you. I'll split it into two videos. The first one will be sort of essential kit that I would definitely take on the mountains, and the second one I'll do sort of a nice to have, some extra little things that will make your life a little bit nicer for you. So if we start with probably the most important bit of kit you want to have with you is a decent pair of boots. So these are my boots. What you're looking for in a decent pair of mountain boots is mainly ankle support. Obviously you've got lots of rocks and little gullies things you're going to be walking up and down, so you want to have decent ankle support there so you don't turn an ankle and end up being a casualty for your team. Also underneath, a decent sole. So on there obviously there's nice deep grooves in there, and there's a Vibram type sole, as you can see by the little label there. Basically then obviously you get, having a decent sole, you get decent grip on the rocks you're walking on. It's not unknown for it to snow on Ben Nevis during the summertime, so anything we get a bit of grip on wet, slippery, icy, wet rocks, anything like that, or mud you might come across as well. So it's good to have a decent pair of boots that will keep your grip on the ground and also support your ankle. Okay, so your second most important bit of kit you're going to be needing is a decent coat. Obviously something waterproof. So obviously up in mountain, sort of mountainous places, it's going to rain a hell of a lot more than it is down here in Torquay or Torbay. So that's something nice and waterproof. If you can, get something breathable like Gore-Tex, so that the hotter you get from your climbing and walking, your sweat and your hot air from your body will be able to get out through the material, whilst also keeping the water out at the same time. Also essential is a decent hood on it as well, that you can sort of, if you can, you can sort of cinch it down around your head so it's nice and tight fitting for you, to keep that rain out and potentially snow. Obviously pretty unlikely, but basically to keep the wind and the elements out of your face and away from your head, where you might lose most of the temperature, your heat from your body through your head. So yeah, a good robust coat, waterproof obviously waterproof is essential, breathable if you can, and a decent hood is essential as well. Okay. Beneath your coat, you got a nice warm jacket. This is quite a lightweight one, but it's still dead warm. This is the North Face one. This hoodies and that are okay, but you can't ventilate them using a zip. So one with a zip down the front would be ideal. So if you get too hot, you can unzip it, and also then you can zip it up again if you get colder as well, and you can kind of adjust it to your needs. So again, obviously warm clothing. So even on a hot sunny day up in the mountains, particularly Ben Nevis is at the height of it, you're going to need a hat and gloves. So just it's a decent normal woolly hat to cover your ears. You might be okay when you're walking around and climbing, but as soon as you sit down for a rest for a few minutes and that wind bites in, you might end up freezing. So a good hat and a pair of gloves as well, because obviously without your fingers, if they're frozen stiff, you can't do anything like use your phone, your map or your compass, or tie your laces or anything like that anyway. So hat and gloves are also essential. Map and compass. I don't know obviously how many of you will be able to use these, or even carry them with you, but I'll go through map and compass a bit later on their own anyway. Definitely take a torch. I take two torches. I've got one head torch that I use, which is obviously handy for hands-free work when you're walking up and down hills, whatever, in the dark. I've also got like a high power sort of hand torch, which is obviously good for signalling to people if need to, as well as just general torch work where you would use it in your hand rather than on your head, looking in your rucksack, that kind of thing, or shining it in particular places. With your torch, take spare batteries, because you can guarantee that the moment you need it up on a mountain, when the weather comes in and the dark comes in, you can guarantee your batteries will run out. It'll be sod's law. So spare batteries for your torches. Water. Obviously, you might come across lakes and streams, that kind of thing, but you're going to be obviously mainly taking your own water. What I like to use is these sort of hydration pack things. This is a platypus one, you can get Camelback and all sorts of brands of them. These are all well and good. Fill it up, put it in your backpack. Have the straw over your shoulder so you can just drink it through the day as and when you need it. Downside to these obviously is that because they're such sort of flimsy plastic, if you were to put down harsh on a rock or something sticks through it, and you puncture this, you lost your water supply. So always take along with you a more sort of robust bottle as well. I'll take that one, it's like a military style one, or even anything like a protein shaker will be fine. Any kind of sort of plastic harder bottle that will withstand a few knocks and bangs. Okay, another thing you want to take with you for definite will be a first aid kit. Obviously, one each would be ideal. If you have to take one between a team, that'll be okay as long as you've got enough stuff in there to cover everybody in the team. This is my little bag I keep my first aid kit in. So I've got one sort of shop bought one with the standard stuff in it. If you get one of these, they're fine, but at least open it up, have a look inside it, and know what's in there and how to use it. There's no point having a first aid kit just for the sake of it if you're not going to actually know what's in there and how to use it anyway. I've got this one here as well, which is a bit more sort of I've made up myself, a few random bits and bobs in it. Again, this is sort of stuff that applies to my needs when I'm out, but you obviously want to make your own kit up for your own needs. So your general first aid sort of stuff, maybe blister plasters, that kind of thing, painkillers. But you can find a much better guide about that kind of thing on the internet, or just using your common sense really as well. What else is in this one? Pack of Kleenex, they're always handy. Nice big sort of cotton wool ball, and some tweezers in there as well. So those bits all together, they're comprised of my own personal first aid kit that I take out with me when I'm out. You want to take a whistle with you as well, so I keep my whistle inside my first aid kit. Obviously for emergencies, attracting attention, the international distress signal for whistles is 6 long blasts in a minute, and then wait for a minute, and then 6 long blasts in a minute, and so on. If you hear somebody else whistling back to you, keep on doing your whistles, because they might be using your sound to find their way to you. Don't just assume that because you've heard somebody else's whistles, they know where you are and they're going to come and get you. So something to bear in mind with those. What else have we got? So your emergency rations as well. So you take your normal food with you, also you always have. You want some emergency rations for if you get stuck up there for a longer time than you expect till you run out of food. For example, or somebody gets injured. What you want is basically high energy food stuff. So you've got things like Mars bars, packs of nuts, jelly babies, dried fruit and that kind of stuff. Doesn't need to be a massive amount, but enough to keep you going for a good few hours anyway. With your normal sort of your walking food, your walking snacks, I always swear by a good Ginster's pasty or two and chocolate bars. So it's like Snickers and Mars bars. Obviously, being gym goers, you might not find it the most healthy food, but it's pretty good for sort of mountainous walking and climbing. You might find that after climbing the mountains, you might get a lot of cramp as well, so you want to replace your salts, things like isotonic drinks and packets of crisps and that kind of thing. Again, not the healthiest stuff, but it's sort of basic food stuff that give you what you need to keep your body going. A good idea for sort of walking the mountains as well, something called a munch bag. It's a military idea. Basically get like yourself a nice big zip tie sort of sandwich bag and fill it up with sort of broken up bits of flapjack, sweets, biscuits, fruits, nuts, chocolate, jelly babies and that kind of stuff all mixed up together, so that as you're walking along you can basically stick your hand in your pocket and grab a handful of that and eat on that every 20 minutes or so, just to give you a continuous supply of energy. That pretty much sums up the essential things I would take with me when I'm up in the mountains. I'll stop this video now and I'll make another one to sort of cover the nice to have things that I still normally take anyway, but things that aren't quite as essential, I'd say. So I'll see you on the other side once again.